¿Qué es la que hay? Welcome back to 20 West DIY. My name is West, and on the last video I showed you how to pull the transmission down, how to pull the pilot bearing out as well with the Harbor Freight tool. By the way, that was like a 3-minute job. Really easy. I removed the clutch master cylinder and I showed you the clutch that this car had installed before, and I didn't have any clue about what kind of clutch was that. I want to give a shout out to DaveClark and SGTBlue or Sergeant Blue from RX7 Club. Every time I upload a video, especially a DIY, I like to post it on the different forums. My videos might help someone in the long run, the same way that I learned through all these years. So they gave me some input that I want to share with you guys. Let me check my notes real quick. So DaveClark said, the jute padding that was under the rubber boots around the shifter is not supposed to go there. Once all the boots are on the transmission, the jute pad goes on the top. I kind of noticed it because it looked weird as hell. So I'm glad that I was able to do all this, because there's so many shortcuts and so many issues that I found on this car that I'm glad that I can fix it now that I started working on it. I don't think I'm gonna cover that on this video, but probably on the next one when I have the transmission installed and everything. I will rebuild the shifter and I will talk about that. Thank you, Clark, for that. Another thing, no reason to mark the drive shaft on the flange. The drive shaft is balanced by itself. Where it bolts on the diff make no difference. So yep, there you go. This one is a new one. I didn't know about this one. Always a good idea to remove the fuel plug on the trans first, then the drain plug. So apparently if you drain the transmission, it's hard to get the fuel plug out. He talked about the clutch. He said DK is for Daikin. That's the parent company of XCity. They're one of the bigger Japanese OEM clutch manufacturers. I don't think the clutch itself is XCity, but whoever made it used them to make the friction component. And he said that I'd never seen a clutch like that before, and it's probably better quality than the spec clutch for sure. He always says you typically don't have to remove the downpipe. Since I'm a single turbo, I had to. So apparently with stock twin turbos, you can leave the downpipe and you can even leave the catback too. These I try, man. I went to Harbor Freight because he said that they make a transmission and he posted the link. And the two Harbor Freight that are close to me, both of them don't have it. They're sold out. But I wish I could have had that. I'm pretty sure it's so much easier. And you will see later on me trying to wrestle that transmission back in. So it'll be fun. He also mentioned the stainless steel braided clutch line, which I have it as well. We're gonna do that. He said heavier pressure plates put more load on that rubber stock line, and now that you have a new slave and master, that will very likely fail on you. And then he talked about the plastic vacuum, the T's that I have on my vacuum setup. Yeah, that definitely have to be changed. That's all for DaveClark. And then SGTBlue says on video, you might want to change the rear transmission seal. It's not expensive and it's a 2-minute job. There you go. I mean, that's something that you can do. Hopefully, I mean, after I go through all this, the transmission that I bought doesn't have a bad seal.
Absolutely
wrong.
Hopefully, but yeah, that's good to know. And then he talked about where I place the jack stands. He said, looks like I put it on the front and rear subframe, and the recommendation is to put it on the pinch well. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, definitely make sure that whenever you put the jack stands, make sure that it's really safe, because when you're working with a transmission, you can hit the body of the car, and if it's not stable, something bad really can happen. On today's video, I'm gonna put the pilot bearing back. I'm gonna show you how to. I don't have the tool, which is a lot easier, but you still can do it with just I believe it's a 14mm socket. So I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna replace the slave cylinder for the new one. Also, now that I don't have the transmission attached to the engine, I'm gonna change the aluminum engine mount that is all destroyed, and if I have time, I will put the transmission back to the engine. So all right, so this line is like that on the engine bay, and it has this clip, so you basically remove that clip, and then with the flare tool you release the hardline from here. Right, and it's easy. I'm gonna replace this one with this one, and then take out this hardline from here and put it on the new slave. There is always one nut or one bolt that wants to make your life hell. This is why you have to save every single one of the bolts or nuts that you find, because you might never know. All right, one of these might work. This one, I don't like how it feels. And this one, bam. Bitch. All right, so I'm gonna install pilot bearing now. And the seal or dust cover, I don't know how you call this. This is basically, after you put the pilot bearing, you put this to prevent the dust to mess up the rollers inside of the bearing. So that's where the whole pilot bearing was. I'm just gonna clean all that mess. Make sure that there's no particles from the other pilot bearing. Let me clean it. My GoPro died. I can't hold the camera and then clean that. So let me clean it and then I start shooting again. All right, so now it's clean. There's no debris. And now I'm just gonna install the pilot bearing. Make sure that is square, because you're gonna damage the bearing. With the tool, it's a lot easier, but you can still do it without the tool. You just grab a 14mm socket and then you start hitting it slowly until you get it in. You want, I don't know, you see the marks, you want that deep inside. That's like a half an inch, I believe. And then after you install the pilot bearing, you install the seal. Take your time, hit it slowly, make sure that it's straight, and yep. So I'm gonna do it and then I'm gonna start shooting again. All right, so once the pilot bearing is on, you get high temp grease, and then you put grease inside. Make sure that you don't put a lot. What you wanna do is lubricate those rollers. Lubricate those rollers and that's it. Just lubricate a little bit.
That's what she said. Or he said.
All right, so I was gonna sand the clutch now, pressure plate and the flywheel, but I was inspecting the clutch and I realized, let me see if I can focus, that something was rubbing that area there. And again, I don't know if that was the freaking sound. It doesn't look that much, but it looks like something was rubbing. And I wonder if that was the issue of the noise. I don't know, now I'm curious because that shit was rubbing somewhere. I'm kind of skeptical. I might use the spec just because it's new, and that will be, I don't know, a review. If this clutch is really messed up, then it's gonna suck. I will have to drop the transmission again or whatever, but this thing hasn't been used. The other one, I'm really not sure now, so I'm just gonna go with this one and say fuck. I'm gonna put the torque specs for the bolts. I believe it's 30 foot-pounds, I'm not sure. I showed you guys how to do it when I did it for the RSX. If you want to check that out, it's the same concept. So you can click on the card above and let's keep going. Thank you to SGTBlue, the one that I mentioned at the beginning. He mentioned that I should replace the rear transmission seal because it's not expensive and it's easy job. I wanted to have the car ASAP running, so I was going to send it, but then I wanted to check mine was fine. And if you compare with the other one that I had, the seal of the new transmission is messed up. Again, I really want to drive this car, but yeah, I found another issue. This one is from my old one. I couldn't record it because my GoPro glitched out on me. So I basically is doing that since I stopped. Hopefully I can get the videos that I recorded there. But yeah, it doesn't do anything. I try to turn off, stop, and yeah, it's not working. But it's easy. So you just basically get you hit it from the side and you work your way until the seal pop up. You can, what I used was a screwdriver, and then you hit it without damaging anything. So I'm gonna reuse this seal. You basically, it's kind of the same as the pilot bearing. Make sure that it's square, that it's not go tilted. Try to find something. This thing is like 2 inches, 2 inches or 1/4, something like that. And then try to hit it. I doubt that I have something like that, but I'm gonna check. And then you just tap it back in place. So I'm gonna do that again. I apologize, I don't have the GoPro and I can do this with just one hand, but I just wanted to update you guys. Alright guys, transmission is in, all the bolts are in, the starter slave is in. I wanted to show you, so once the transmission and everything is in, you to attach the throw bearing with the ring, you do the opposite of what I told you in the last video. So you pull that ring back, you see the gap, and then with I utilize this thing. I push the throw bearing to the front, and then you hear the click, and then it will just attach to the ring. After that, you just do everything backwards.
Let me run that back for you.
In my case, I'm gonna put down pipe, I'm gonna put the power plant, and then make sure that you have a jack to align the differential. After that, I'm gonna pump the fluid in. Something I wanted to tell you, I drained the transmission out of this plug, but it was just because I was going to drop the transmission. This, if you just want to replace the fluid, you have to drain the transmission from here and then from here. Since this transmission was used, I don't know what type of fluid they were using, I don't know anything. Once I fill it out, I'm gonna drive a couple miles, and then I'm just gonna drain the fluid again and put a new one, just to flush the transmission. And this is it. The transmission project is really interesting when you're doing it by yourself. Once it goes in, you start moving it a little bit until it goes a little bit in. I utilize long bolts, and I start putting the nuts and tie the bolt in, so it was pulling the transmission towards the engine to kind of help me hold it in place, but I was working on the other side of the transmission. And then when the actual bolt of the transmission was able to reach the engine, then I took out one bolt at a time and then started tying it with the actual bolt. I'm exhausted. Like always, you can contact me at TonyWestDIY@gmail.com or in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at TonyWestDIY. Remember, if you like the video, you're supporting the channel that way. Or if you want to subscribe, press the bell button so you won't miss any of my videos. Stay safe. God bless you guys. Until the next one.